Super Paper Mario is one of the most unique games in the entire Paper Mario franchise. Despite the major difference between the original Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, this game is still a juggernaut of the franchise. While this game has technically 32 levels in it, there's still the average 8 chapters. And sure, they're not at all like the original or the Thousand Year Door, but they're still pretty good on their own and in their own right. So, I decided to rank all 8 of the Super Paper Mario chapters. By the way, keep in mind, this is just my opinion and my opinion alone. This doesn't affect how you guys see the chapters, I hope. Anyway, let's go! I despise Chapter 7 so freaking much. Yeah, this chapter has so many things wrong with it that's not even funny at this point, and we've barely even started the video. 7-1 had literally nothing. Nada. Zip. Zero. Well, okay, it did have a few parkour segments, but that's literally it for 7-1. 7-2's light mechanic is a piece of dog turd, and so are the maids. I swear to God, if you pick the wrong one, you gotta backtrack and hope you pick the right one. That one was just so, for lack of a better word, fucking terrible. 7-3's fruit mechanic is annoying as all hell. In fact, I wanted to rage quit the game right there and not finish it and not even make this video. But at least there are signs that tell you where to go to get the fruits, and yeah, I'm just blabbering at this point. 7-3 is absolutely horrible. Also, 7-4 is just straight up as confusing as a jigsaw puzzle missing 12 of its pieces. While I do think 7-4 is the best level in Chapter 7, it's easily the worst Dash 4 levels in the entire game. It was just really disappointing, to be entirely honest. I would even venture to say that navigating the Great Maze in Chapter 8 was easier than this. Which, if you think about it, is really freaking sad because it wasn't even trying to be difficult. And I know for a fact that this difficulty in navigation was all on me. The music wasn't all too bad, but it wasn't my favorite. Not by a long shot. Like, if someone told me, hey, play Chapter 7 of Super Paper Mario's music in the car right this second, I would just straight up say, yeah, get out of the car. I hate that music, bro. It's not good. Moving on. Like Chapter 6 in the Thousand Year Door, Chapter 5 in Super Paper Mario makes me go, it's this chapter, no! I will say that this chapter has one really bad chapter, one mediocre chapter, and 2 good chapters. 5-1 is easily my least favorite level in all of the game. 5-1's first problem is the woolly mammoths. They do an unreasonable amount of damage, they have an unreasonable amount of health, and they're also overall really annoying to deal with. However, those things are nothing compared to the annoyingest combination you have to get. I genuinely hate this combination with every fiber of my soul and every ounce of my being. Before you can even get the combination, you have to say, oh please, an unreasonable amount of times. And you better have a pencil and paper ready or a good memory because you gotta write this thing down either on the paper or in your noggin. I was a dumb shit and did the opposite, except my memory is a piece of crap equivalent to the memory of a goldfish, so I instantly forgot it. When a video game makes me look up a guide because I'm stuck, I get unreasonably angry. This level made me look up a goddamn guide. I wasn't too happy. If you somehow remembered this bitch of a code without a guide or paper, you have my respect. I have no idea how some people memorize that thing. Sure, I've been shitting on this chapter a lot, but one thing that I did enjoy quite a bit was the minecarts. I know most people really don't like these things, and I can entirely understand that, but these things reminded me of Donkey Kong Country's minecart levels, but less fun. There's really only one true gripe that I have with the minecarts, and it's that they are unreasonably and unbearably slow. I feel like if you had more control of the minecarts, they would have been a little bit better, but unfortunately, we don't. Now let's talk about the good levels. 5-2 is actually pretty fun for me. I liked finding the tablets and figuring out their order. It's fun, simple, and you also get the hammer pixel here who I can't remember the name of for the life of me. Now on to 5-4. This level is what saves the 5th chapter from being the absolute worst one on this list. The boss fight was easily my favorite thing, not just because I like defeating King Crocus, or however the heck you say his name, but also because it was finally over. I'm just realizing that's what I wrote into the script. Anyway, there was a lot being thrown into the last level, but it wasn't a bad thing. It was actually kind of fun. I overall didn't vibe with the music too much in this chapter, but it was a pretty decent track. Better than Chapter 7's music. Other than being held back heavily by 5-1 and slightly by 5-3's minecart problem, the chapter is saved overall by the remaining levels and chapter boss. Okay, I know I'm being a little bit unfair here. It is Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is great. It has great concepts, it introduces you to a lot of stuff, but it suffers greatly from what I call first world virus. It's the first world and just all too easy for my taste. Now, I know this chapter is teaching the player how to play the game, but I just felt like this chapter suffered a lot because it couldn't fully flesh out too many ideas in detail. Now, before all of you decide to chew me up and spit me out in the comment section down below, none of these chapters are bad. Except for maybe 1-3's stupid easy puzzles, but I understand why it had to be that way. Also, I will forever respect 1-1 for being a callback to the original Super Mario Bros. 1-1. Now, 1-1 in Super Paper Mario introduces the flip mechanic. 1-2 is basically helping you master it and introduces you to the pixels. And 1-3 basically helps you fully master the flip mechanic and even helps you test it via battling Fractale. It is actually one of my all-time favorite levels in the game, believe it or not. The music here in Chapter 1 is actually some of my favorite music in all of Mario, including Fractale's theme, which to this day is still an absolute banger in my opinion. Overall, this chapter suffered a lot purely because it's Chapter 1. It's bound to be very easy and very boring, but I'd rather have boring puzzles than any annoying ones that keep getting freaking repeated. I take Chapter 1 over Chapters 5 and 7 anytime, any day of the week. Chapter 2 is one of those chapters, like Chapter 5, that has one bad as hell level, one mediocre level, and 2 good ones. This chapter isn't all that bad compared to the other 3 I previously mentioned, but it's also not perfect. 2-1 is pretty okay. It's nothing too special, but it's also not going to drive you borderline crazy trying to figure it out, unlike Chapter 5. And you get Boomer, the bomb pixel, so I guess that's a plus. 2-2 is actually pretty dang good. Especially trying to figure out the spike room was a welcome challenge for me when I first played. I understand that this is pretty simple for a pro, but it was kind of fun to relearn to jump on top of the spikes instead of panicking and getting the hell out of the room. Now, 2-3 is absolutely atrocious! You gotta jump over electricity and run in a wheel like a hamster to pay off your 1 million ruby debt. How did you get this debt? You broke a vase. Now that's an original plot point if I've ever seen one. I mean, come on, Super Paper Mario, what the hell? I mean, I guess once you get Slim and break into Mimi's Ruby Vault, everything is fine. But I swear it was so madly annoying to figure that out. I thank goodness didn't have to pull out the guide because once I got to the hamster wheel, I kind of put together that, okay, there's more rubies hiding around here somewhere. Let's go find them. I'm not doing this for hours. But yeah, I don't think any level should be that boring and that atrocious. Thankfully, 2-4 more than makes up for it. Sure, Mimi's transformation has some pretty creepy inspirations, but it adds a certain level of danger to the scene, and that's a good thing. It adds to Mimi chasing after you, and you can't do a thing about it. You cannot attack her. You cannot stop her. The only thing you can do is find Merlee and seek her aid. It's really fun to do, and I overall like this level a lot. I love the vibe of Merle's mansion and the overall feels it gives me. It's a really good chapter, and the music is actually really freaking good. I love it. But 2-3 prevents it from being any higher, sadly. I was pretty hesitant putting this chapter in the spot, but to be fair, the majority of this chapter is a freaking battle gauntlet. 6-1 is okay. It's not anything too crazy, but I still do enjoy it to some degree. 6-2 is a level a lot of people assume that I love, but I honestly do not enjoy this level too much like I did the Glitz Pit. It feels like a semi-worse version of it, to be honest, but it's tolerable and has some of the most hilarious dialogue in the game. Also, I don't find 6-1 or 6-2 that annoying, it's just more so when I replay the game it gets sort of repetitive. Sure, I know some people are not show of fighting 20 dudes and that's totally fair, but I personally don't mind it at all. Also, quick tip, if you prepare with good items and all, you will be okay. It's not that bad if you prepare correctly. Then there's 6-3, which is the Void's aftermath of completely erasing the crap out of Sammer's kingdom. Not gonna lie, this chapter is one of the very few that still gives me the chills. This chapter really shows you what exactly Mario and the game are going up against, and it's not to be trifled with. The power to destroy and erase everything is in the worst hands ever imaginable. It really hit me hard. I was so genuinely terrified that this happened the first time that I played the game. You just had to show us the destroyed and dead looking pure heart, didn't you, Nintendo? Now, I know a lot of people are going to be chewing me out in the comments of, how did Chapter 4 beat Chapter 6? What? No, you're cringe skill issue. You don't appreciate the lore. Okay, yes, I appreciate the lore, but to be honest, I had way more fun with Chapter 4. Sure, the lore done with Chapter 6 was good and all, but I just had a lot of fun with Chapter 4 compared to Chapter 6. Is that such a crime? Anyway, we once again have a bit of a problem with levels, where 2 are good and amazing, one of them is mediocre, and one is absolutely really bad. 4-1 did not leave a good impression on me in the slightest. It is so freaking hard to navigate, and I ended up just diving into one black hole after another, hoping to God it'll spit me out where I need to be. Now, 4-2 is actually really freaking good, but it is just screwing around with anti-gravity. And I love it. Sure, your objective is... It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. You need toilet paper so Squirps can do his business. But at the end of the day, that doesn't take away from the fun the anti-gravity gives you. Now, 4-3 is mediocre. Now, this is purely a me problem because I'm a veteran player. I enjoy getting through this level, and it is very easy for me to do so because I know exactly where the heck the shop is, and overall, it's not too difficult once you deal with the shop. Now, 4-4 is easily one of my favorite levels in this entire game, arguably in my top 5. The chapter boss really topped off a pretty odd chapter and made it really damn good. The boss fight with Mr. L also really topped off the chapter for me, and it saved it from being any lower on the list. If we didn't have this amazing Mr. L boss fight, bet your money this thing would have been near the bottom. Okay, the first thing I noticed when I began this chapter was the beautiful backgrounds. I love sprite artwork in general, but this made me love it even more, to be completely honest. This chapter is actually a good amount of challenging, but instead challenge is actually a lot of fun to be had. 3-1 is already amping up the challenge by having you lose Tippy to a Grodus Chronicles loving nerd, Lord Francis. Also, can we just appreciate Nintendo here? They didn't shy away at all from making Francis interesting. So, already, you're forced to go through this chapter without Tippy, and your mission to find the pure heart has also turned into a rescue operation. This first level was also pretty interesting in the way that you had to recruit Bowser, of all people, to aid in your journey, as you're gonna need that additional firepower. I know, I'm so funny. 3-2 is an underwater area, and I'm all down for those, on a normal basis. But this one, it's mainly just find another pixel, which I also forgot the name of, finding treasure, and fighting a big-ass blooper who has a really cool entry animation. Overall, though, 3-2, pretty solid. I think it's a good level. 3-3 consists of navigating a tree. Well, that certainly wasn't what I was expecting. Basically, you climb up this big-ass tree and solve a bunch of puzzles, which in reality is actually somewhat fun to me. Hell, you even get to use Bowser here to burn down some of the trees so you can move on. Very creative and very original, if you ask me. I think it's actually really dang good. However, one big problem I had was that I kept falling over and over and over and over again, and I had to backtrack. But Dimentio's fight here more than makes up for it. To be perfectly honest here, Dimentio's lines are some of the best ones in the game, and he's pretty freaking iconic for a reason. Hell, I could probably make an entire video about Dimentio and why he's a good villain, but that will probably have to wait. Once you take out this measly clown, you can get back to finding the star thingy. I don't remember what the hell that thing is called. Now, 3-4. Easily one of my top 5 favorite levels in the entire game. Hell, the only thing I have against this chapter is that I think it's a tiny bit overhyped in my opinion. But that doesn't make it bad. You get Carry here, the carrier pixel, which is one of my favorite pixels in the entire game. The weird as hell but still funny true or false questions, the dating sim. Francis is such a good character, oh my god. Also, since you don't have Tippy with you in this chapter, you don't have to worry about those Tippy puzzles where you gotta reveal something, which, in my opinion, is a good thing, because I don't really like those puzzles. I know a lot of people probably expected this, but let's be honest here. I love Chapter 8. I know it isn't very well liked in the community, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. Out of all of the chapters, this chapter has the most mediocre levels, and then one insanely good one. First things first though, I am going to address this chapter's biggest flaws. The level designs here are just not that good to me, to be honest. It's just not that great. Some of the areas, especially in 8-4, are just lacking what I would expect in a final area. The Woe Zone is one of the best things in the chapter, and I enjoyed it more than these puzzles. But man, the story, everyone dying, the insanely hard to beat enemies, the difficult bosses, revisiting the areas, fighting Count Bleck, the atmosphere, freaking Dimentio pulling a wild card out of his jester cap, the ultimate show, the music, the creepy backgrounds. What else do I have to say here? I love this chapter a lot. Now, I have a track record personally at this point of the final chapter and my chapter ranking videos not even making it to the top 3. So for me to like the final chapter this much, that's a statement. 8-4 though, that's my favorite level in all of the game because of the final boss and the story send-off, which I know is kind of cheap to say, but hey, I love it a lot. But just not the layout. I would even go to argue that this chapter is in my top 10 favorite Paper Mario chapters of all time, and I love that for it. Hello, amazing peoples. I hope you all are doing fantastic on this crazy Saturday. And fun fact, this is being recorded on Saturday at 1 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, I forgot to record an outro bit. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, huge thank you to Lufinus for the thumbnail. Thanks again, buddy, that turned out really good. Anyway, I can't wait to see you all in the next video. Take care, bye!